a 1v1 between Quitch and BulletSponge on Ampless. Haven't seen one of these in a good while. Haven't seen Quitch play in a good while. Apparently BulletSponge is Platinum, I think, or is he Uber? I don't know, but Quitch is sort of Gold Platinum, I think. This is one of a replay that was sent in. So, let's see what happens on the north spawn here. We have BulletSponge, and on the south spawn, Quitch in rusty red and white, respectively. Going bots first each, followed up with a 1 metal into 1 power for Quitch, 2 metal therefore for BulletSponge. Out with the fabs there. I'll leave the builds in the picture so you may see them. Those in the chat are telling me it's Uber. Thank you very much, folks, for correcting my nonsense. Quitch is gold. Well, this is a bit of a mismatch then. Let's see what happens. 3 fabs coming straight out from BulletSponge, going in different directions rather than bunching them up all together. Have seen that done a number of times, but then again the commander did get that second mechs, delaying the air factory slightly. But that does mean that the fabbers don't have as much to run around in the base to do, so may as well send off 4, in fact, to different places. Looks like these two are going to bunch up and lock down these 3 mechs here. Looking at Quitch, he's sending a few docks through the water, wanting to maybe go and contest this central island, and coming out with a Firefly from both players, getting a nice little bit of intel there. So, generally speaking on this map, you want to be getting into the water as soon as possible. Chasing down the Firefly there on the north. BulletSponge does not want that floating around, and it's gone. But yes, getting into the water is always a tough thing. You have this long canal that snakes round right up to the opponent's doorstep there. And if you can get water control, then, well, your opponent has no choice but to either concede the shoreline there, or indeed fight it, or just, GG. But either way, it forces your opponent into doing something. In this case, however, both players are going into the water. It just depends on who's going to make that step up to T2 should they desire it. Of course, there's lots of metal around as well. Quitch already making a play for it with some air fabbers over here. A bit of a risky play, but rewarding if they get there. And these 3 docks here could pose a little bit of a problem for this expansion. Quitch sees it and tries to engage, failing there without the micro, and the air fab runs rather than sticking around. Good intuition there. Because the moment the docks see that there's something there, the air of BulletSponge might be coming up. I did just see an air fab get sniped there by Quitch. Really nice play and control there. BulletSponge currently seeming a little dormant. Quitch sending a few units out to the front there with those few docks. Looking down these mechs here and contesting them. BulletSponge could potentially lose a couple of fabs here. He's just scouted the docks coming. He's not retreating those fabs. Will these focus down the fabs? They will not. They will engage the enemy docks in a single fire fashion. Oh, almost. Could have killed the fab there. That was a shame. That was very, very close indeed. More air fabs coming out now from BulletSponge. These 2 docks over here could be wandering around, maybe trying to see if there's a bit of naval, if there are any fabricators further up the shoreline. Quitch doing a really good job of expanding there, although he is floating somewhat. Could probably get up maybe another bot factory, or maybe a forward vehicle factory perhaps. Looking at the factory counts there, we are at pretty much level. Quitch going into next to 2 air factories. Goodness me. 4 air factories total, and the T2 naval straight up with a twist. Not wasting any time there. BulletSponge has yet to build a naval fabricator, so we won't be seeing the T2 naval from him just yet, and instead going to T2 bots. A bit of a disparity there. Of course, slammers are amphibious, so they can wander across between these 2 bases. They also pack a bit of a punch, and given the map size here, I feel as though Locust will be really good at just hampering all that expansion from Quitch there, if they are used effectively. Quitch doing a nice job here of just continuing to get up this metal. Needs to start spending it though, getting more fabricators out to assist this T2 going up, and needs to start using these air factories here. Although power is the limiting factor right now. A few barracudas there against these piranhas. I'll lock those down before they become a nuisance. Didn't know you could micro those. Interesting. But denied all the same. Bombers coming out now for BulletSponge. I feel as though BulletSponge needs to do a little bit of scouting of Quitch's base. He hasn't done any. Look at this. Doesn't know anything about the factories. Doesn't know anything about those additional 2 air factories, which could potentially come and bite him in the behind later on. Only a single bomber there, but again, that's all that's needed. Quitch there, not yet ready to take an engagement. Almost, but not too much longer. Desperately needs that power, though. Could even hop up a little bit of storage there on the metal. I like what BulletSponge is starting to do though. Starting to expand in different places, just getting them locked down with a few point defences. This is nice. Both players starting to get their trench lines sorted. No T2 Naval yet from BulletSponge. The T2 bots up to 34%. And the Naval almost completed here for Quitch. Will we see Kaijus or will we see Leviathans coming out first? Chances are we might even see just a Naval T2 Fab. But it depends on how aggressive Quitch wants to be here, because he's desperate for power. There we go. After a few of these P-gens, that shouldn't be too bad, although having 5 fabricators building that is going to hamper those efforts just slightly. Airfab going out to replenish the one that was lost. Even better. But this air fabricator here from BulletSponge is away and is expanding like crazy. Both are pretty level on metal here. I like this. Although BulletSponge slightly behind in terms of power. T2 almost finished there, re-evaluating the priorities. Still no scouting from BulletSponge, I feel. Yeah. And from Quitch, none either. Why does no one do that anymore? I reckon we'll see some Locust coming out of here. Maybe even one Slammer just to go and contest the water and be a bit of a nuisance, but I feel as though a Locust would be more bang for the buck in this instance. Yeah, Fabricator first. That's fair enough. Quitch needs to start thinking about the other side of this planet. BulletSponge is starting to get away with it there. We can see that's reflected in the economy tab there. BulletSponge has now overtaken Quitch in the all-important metal income. The army tab there, pretty comparable. Factory count is favouring BulletSponge, though Quitch isn't too far behind. With only 2 there, but that is an additional 2 T2 naval factories compared to lots of T1 from BulletSponge. So, who really is ahead here? How many fabricators have they got? Lots. 16 to 21 fabricators for BulletSponge. No wonder he's getting the expansion. Pulling away a little bit there. Quitch doing the little bits here and there. And grouping up all these airfabs. Risky, but also rewarding. Look how fast those mechs are going up. And they can get in and out. Ah. Hello, Locusts. Hello, hello, hello. Where are you going to go with that, BulletSponge? I suspect maybe the middle and then maybe raid the naval shipyards, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see. There's only 2, make that 3, make that 4. Desperately trying to get up that metal in the base there. Floating the power a little bit, so with that T2 metal he can really start to bunch out these factories. Maybe even a few more air factories instead. Yeah, up on the north, more air factories and a second T2 bot factory. That's going to be interesting if we're going to have swarms of Locusts going around. Are sparks particularly good against locusts, Phil? I feel like you say that because they are. Good thing those kaijus can't be attacked by barracudas. And that'll be a bit of a surprise for BulletSponge. Oh wait, there's kaijus. Oh dear, and all that investment in subs? Oh no. Oh dear, oh no. That's a couple of T2 dudes on my doorstep. I'm not a fan of this. And indeed, this is a lesson in scouting. I'm going to keep watching that down there in that pit. And we're going to watch these locusts come in and maybe chew a good few of these T2 naval factories. Good few shots coming in. Miss Micro there. Could probably have eaten that T2 factory if they hadn't just run past. Nice air scouting there, but these kaijus are a little bit lethal. Has to be said. Got to come out with the bombers sooner or later. Or move inland. Possibly even Blue Hawks. Yeah, I was going to say. Use what you've got. Got to send those missiles. With this air from BulletSponge, though, I feel like next time his Locust run will be a lot better informed. He's learned his lesson now, and he can see the shipyards emptying. So if his Locusts do come a-running, ooh, that's a bit lethal. But he does see quite how many kaijus there are now out on the field. 6, 7, 8, and a Leviathan as well. Nope, a Stingray. I cannot read icons anymore. And advanced torpedo launchers. That's lethal. I'm surprised Quitch elected to build those in the water rather than on the coastline. If they'd been built on the coastline, they would have been immune to barracudas. Here comes the next Locust rush. Where will they go? Quitch pulling back for a little bit of defense here. He knows what's coming. The kaijus are aptly suited. Attacking on the front there as well with those kaijus. He knows that all that BulletSponge has against him are a few locusts and increasingly Blue Hawks, which need to hide behind these rocks where they are nice and covered rather than moving out and getting shot there. There you go. Should have stayed behind cover. He's lost his Blue Hawks and his only mode of operandi to actually kill those kaijus. Locusts shut down immediately. I feel like BulletSponge needs to get the factories sorted out. Really lagging behind there a bit, but now we've got a lot of air factories from BulletSponge. Bombers coming out to defend. How is Quitch answering that? He's going to see a lot of bombers there, sending in the hummingbirds. Yeah, those to defend as well. Losing a few more bombers than is necessary there from BulletSponge. As the hummingbirds decide to cover rather than chase. Going to pick off a few more bumblebees there. Just enough hummingbirds to keep Quitch away from the bumblebees, but all of them have been lost more or less there. That really is not fantastic news for him, having just invested in that. How is Quitch doing for air factories? He has yet to reinvest in more. Having said that, maybe I spoke too soon. Here he comes up with an additional 4 air factories. That's going to bring him back into this game in the air. BulletSponge, I feel, with this air, has a little window with which he can really push forth and utilise those bombers, but on what? Because all of Quitch's expansion has these Galata. Very bumblebee unfriendly. Ah. Very heavy air game. Okay. I see what's going on here. And even heavier naval. Orcas coming out to spam the orcas. That should get rid of the kaijus, but a bit of a trade disparity. Well, is it really, though? And the Blue Hawks have their... Oh, no. Yeah, Blue Hawks and catapults have their range, too. There's just not enough orcas, really, yet to deal with this. Shellers could deal with it, but now this Stingray's coming up. That's going to be a bit of a nuisance. With its own missiles. The Air 2... T2 Air from BulletSponge. Ooh. Quitch needs to keep the pressure on here, but also start stepping up the production and the factories. We need some T2 Air from Quitch. Maybe even some T2 on the land, because these kaijus aren't going to be able to do it all. Or maybe they will. It depends on how effectively BulletSponge is able to defend here. Coming in with the air to scout. He sees two T2 bot factories. Did he see the air? I think he did. He did not see the T2 air factories. Ah. Just doing a little flyby. Sees slammers wandering around though, and actually those slammers have been very, very effective at dealing with this metal around the back. That's a lot lost from Quitch there if we look at the scorch marks. H7s. Good lord. What's that? 49? I think. Nope. 56. I can't do my times tables. Haven't practiced them in a while. That's a bit of a string of kaijus coming straight in for the base, though. How many are there? 11 kaijus. Nasty. What are they shooting at? Are they... I think they're just missing. These kaijus are missing. Quitch! Wakey wakey, your kaijus are missing. Oh no. Oh no. Quitch's com moved into the water there. Building a lot more naval. He really wants this naval game. But BulletSponge is digging his heels in. Raiding around the back has been very, very effective. Oh. Docks in the base. Should be able to defend against this nicely. There we go. Where's your scouting, BulletSponge? You need it. Raiding around the back with more locusts, though, is always good. Nom nom nom. That's what we like to see. Excuse me. There we go. Cough, cough, splutter, splutter. BulletSponge really far behind in the economy, though, and that is the effect of losing all of this on the front and the base metal. Stalling quite hard. Quitch trying to press on. Turtling in a little bit on this side. Ooh. Dirty tactics. Hulkins On the front lawn. BulletSponge really needs to do something about all of this metal over here. So much there that is undefended and has no right to still be standing. Oh. That was a bit of a swamp, but the Phoenix turned the tide. Bumblebees are more or less gone, but the Phoenix there. Surprise, hello. More air coming in from Quitch, though. That would have been better to have wandered that all up together. There wasn't really any air micro there from Quitch. Just sort of wandered in, rather than trying to pick off things as they were trying to bomb. Might have been a more effective strategy against a Phoenix force. BulletSponge, though. Losing lots of T2 units for no reason. I guess he's probably preoccupied with dealing with the Kaijus wandering through the back of his base, just continuing to knock down even more of his economy. But he's losing a lot of units here unnecessarily. And the Hawkins is ready. Oh dear. What's this? Is this a sneaky army trying to sneak around the back, BulletSponge? Well, that would have worked if you had some anti-air with it. But it could still work. There's only 2 bumblebees in there, 3, and here comes the cavalry from BulletSponge. This could do some damage here. That's some slammers, some spark as well, and levelers. This is going to knock out these air factories, no questions asked. This could potentially set Quitch back a little bit. Only a little though, because these are only T1 mechs. But certainly losing those air factories is going to hurt in the immediate term, giving BulletSponge that leg up into the air. And that's really what he needs. Kill the air factory, BulletSponge! Ah, the micro is not there. Wakey, wakey. Barracudas and Orcas, though, with their red jet streams of bleh against one another. T2 Naval Factory finally up for BulletSponge. Perhaps he can get out a Kraken to come and deal with all of this nonsense. Barracudas keep shutting it down, though. Not ideal. And finally, the raiding on the middle. Quitch knocked down a couple of pegs, only a couple, but he has got all the back stuff re-expanded to. BulletSponge needs to go and deal with that. Quitch doing a very good job there of re-expanding to previously lost metal. And the T2 Naval Factory, there is no reason why that should have gone down. I think the poor, the red there for the metal income, the stalling, that's the word I was looking for, is really starting to bite in terms of the production, because we have very few units moving around now. BulletSponge there, 68 units to 140. 6 factories behind. Yes, he has air factories, but Quitch can pop those up again. And is doing so. well. These Hulkins really paying for themselves. This is quite a game. All of this stuff here from BulletSponge though, there's just so much metal that wasn't ever upgraded. So much that was never expanded to. There is some stuff being raided, but needs better raiding, really. Quitch controlling the water and the coast now. BulletSponge only still alive in this base because Quitch has yet to push in. And he can do so with ease, but he doesn't know it. He must see that there's very little in this base. Knocking Bullet away from these 5 mechs here, though, is a big win for him, and keeping him out of the water also. That's what, 3 T2 air factories, all building air fabs? He must desperately be wanting that T2, yeah, there we go. Desperately wanting that T2 air. In come the Locusts again. Are they going to manage it? Not there. Chewing the high metal targets. Not wise. In come the bombers. In come the Phoenix. Way too late there. Where's Quitch's radar? Because that's giving him all the intel he needs. There it is, right on the forward place, so he can see all of this expansion. He can see everything, or the lack thereof, that is BulletSponge's base right now. But he's still in the game. He has yet to be killed. Quitch has yet to finish. BulletSponge off. And if this T2 airfab gets free and unseen, that's going to be powerful. Now, we'll have to see whether this slot is actually microed. Because it needs to be. Somehow BulletSponge, I was going to say, is caught up to Quitch, but not quite. Still a few more T2 metal required to do that. But getting there. Problem is these Kaijus, they are pumping out thick and fast. 4 T2 naval factories is just what you want for this. Bullet just needs the time to get these air fabs expanding, and then he'll be back in the game, because as those expand he'll be building factories over here, and then because Quitch is refusing to push in, Bullet could build up and push back, either in the water or elsewhere, forcing Quitch to do something radical. Like all of these slammers could come across here around the back of this coastline and pummel this base. They have to kill off the power, though, to make Quitch fully stall. The air game. Kestrel's an ideal way to deal with these Kaijus. Can they be defended, though? Not really. Bumblebees, though, are still good. Barracuda's forcing that commander away. And the commander is off. Here come the bumblebees. That is a severe number of barracudas there. And the T2 Naval rolling in on land is not good either. BulletSponge finally okay for metal, but he's losing his base. And he does not have the power to deal with this. Goodness. That torpedo launcher doing some work. Where's the range of it? Can't seem to see it. These 3 T2 air factories, though, losing those is going to hurt a little bit. Quitch is aware of the sniping possibilities. He sees the 3 T2 air factories and he's worried. He's not going to let anything get through there now. And get through it shall not. Gosh. That base is toast. BulletSponge! Where are your factories? 3 to 20. There you go. Shows a little bit of the difference, doesn't it? I feel like here Quitch still has a lot of work to do insofar as hunting down BulletSponge, but on a map this size, I think the snowball has rolled very much. Looking in that economy tab there, double effectively. And BulletSponge having to start from first principles. The thing is here, as you can see, there are a lot of unclaimed metal, and Quitch could do a good job and a half of doing just that. Reclaiming it. Re-expanding. He has yet to do it. I'm honestly surprised the GGs haven't been called here, because I feel this really is, unless there's a snipe opportunity, which there is not. I do not think BulletSponge can win this. And when he loses his air here, that's going to be it. There we go. Now he has no ability to scout. He has no ability to see what Quitch is up to. And he has a handful of slow ground units that don't have as much range as Kaijus. So he's stuck. He will not be bullied, will he? He will not give in to this. Come on, BulletSponge. You know it to be true. Search your feelings. You have lost. Quitch is going to end this once and for all. How many more quotes can I throw in there? Kaiju's hover to conceal their numbers. I'm going into strange mode, aren't I? But let's look at all this from Quitch. Yet with a relatively simple base, he has the ability to really expand this base, and he's only just doing so now that he feels he has the time. So I suppose that reflects on the limits of Quitch's ability himself, even though he's beaten an Uber here in a very good display of strategy. There's the Commander Death. Even though he's beaten an Uber in a very good display of strategy, it shows the limits of his actions per minute and attention, I feel. That his base is only just beginning to take off now that there is no threat from BulletSponge. But very good game there from Quitch. And so Quitch was promoted from gold to platinum. A lot to improve on still though. Well, always a lot to improve on, and did a lot better than I would have done. So, there you go.